Two Broke Bettors, presented by Garrett Hollenbach and Dallas Walker.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Two Broke Bettors. I'm Garrett, and this is my co-host Dallas Walker.
Yo.
Yes, this is episode 2. The original episode 2 was supposed to be posted on Saturday, which would have featured college basketball and NFL picks. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, that was not posted. So this will be the new episode 2. And in episode 2, we are going to be talking about Tuesday night college basketball slate and all of our picks for the wonderful slate of games. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. First ranked matchup we have is Baylor and West Virginia. I think Dallas I think we can both agree on this. Baylor has been killing us as of late.
Yep.
So I stayed away from taking Baylor to cover in this one, and I went with the total points. I do think Baylor is going to win, but I went with the total points in this one. I think it was, over 137.5. Baylor's the number 12 ranked offensive efficiency team in all of college basketball, and West Virginia plays a lot better at home. So I think both of those things are going to factor in and make this a very high-scoring game, or high-scoring in their terms, which should be upper 70s for each team. And West Virginia's offense also improves a lot whenever they're at home. Offensive efficiency rating went from, I think it was 0.9 to 1.01, which is a pretty good jump in offensive efficiency numbers. So that's why I'm going to go with Baylor. West Virginia over 137.5.
I, like you, think West Virginia is going to play a lot better. They just got beat pretty bad. I forgot who it was. Baylor, obviously, coming off a 2-loss week. West Virginia, it's a really small sample size, but the past two times they've been beat by double digits, they immediately followed up with a win. Like I said, small sample size, but it's still out there. I said that I didn't really see a betting edge for the total or the spreads. I still made a pick. I put West Virginia to cover 7.5. It won't be one of my favorites. I don't really like the game. I will say both teams have similar tempos, not super fast-paced. Like I said, both teams coming off of big losses, and I'm like you. I expect a really good game, and I think it'll come down to the end.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that one. I do think Baylor's going to win this one, but
yeah,
I thought that the last 2 times, and they've lost both. So there it is, our pick: Baylor, West Virginia over. And Dallas thinks West Virginia is going to play a lot better in this one. So that's how we feel about this game. Going on to the next one, another Big 12 matchup. We got Kansas and Oklahoma. This one I wrote beside it my least confident pick out of all the matchups. I think Kansas is the much better team in this matchup, but for some reason Oklahoma seems to play well at home. I was looking at the numbers. Oklahoma shoots ton more free throws than their opponents at home, and it's not like they're driving it to the basket a whole lot. It just seems to be the refs are on their side at home. I don't know why. They just get the whistle advantage. So I didn't really like this game. I didn't like the odds, didn't like the spread at all. I just went with Kansas minus 3.5. They've won 4 out of the last 5 against Oklahoma, so I went with Kansas minus 3.5. I think they're playing a lot better right now than Oklahoma is.
Yeah, this is another game I didn't love either. The Big 12 is just they're really inconsistent right now. I had the over the game going over 144. Kansas's over hits 80% away from the home, and their offense looks to be steadily getting back on track. I don't think Remy Martin's playing in this game, but I still like him. As far as Oklahoma goes, it's like you said, their over hits 65% at home. Obviously, that means they're shooting a lot better, getting more free throws, whatever it is. They, in general, though, are just an inconsistent team, but I do think they'll bounce back from that enormous loss. But yeah, I don't like either of the teams winning. I think it's a toss up between that, but the over 144 seemed like a good pick. It's
Yeah,
once again not one of my favorites though.
yeah. This was definitely a team where I saw a big jump in the offensive efficiency at home with Oklahoma. Uh,
Yeah,
the numbers I was looking at whenever I caught on to Oklahoma playing a lot better at home was whenever I was looking at the Iowa State game later in the night on Tuesday. Whenever Iowa State lost at Oklahoma, Oklahoma shot 17 free throws compared to Iowa State's one, and Oklahoma shot 58% from three, which I don't think is close to their average. So
probably not.
yeah, um, yeah. Neither of us, I don't think, liked the first two games that we went over, but those are picks so far. Moving
Yep.
on to the next game, this one is one of my favorites: Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Um, I took the under at 134.5. Took under 134.5 because both of these teams are incredibly inefficient on offense and incredibly inefficient where they're playing. So Tennessee's playing on the road at Vandy. Tennessee's way less efficient on the road, and Vandy's surprisingly less efficient at home. Their numbers both dipped in the efficiency ratings. I think it was over 2/10, which ended up being 0.996 and 0.923 for offensive efficiency ratings. And those are not good numbers. Those end up being worse than 175 other teams in college basketball. So I'm expecting a very low scoring game. And the other big thing is 4 out of the 5 last matchups have ended up going under between these two teams.
Yeah, I didn't even bother writing notes for this one because I know this was one of your favorites, and I knew everything I said was going to agree with you because we both think the exact same thing every time about this Tennessee team. And it's like you said, Vandy's not efficient at home. I could really see Tennessee coming in there mad that they just got whooped and pressing, doing things they don't normally do. Hopefully not making shots, which is something they don't normally do. But I could see it being a very mistake-heavy game and a close one with, not a lot of scoring, as always, for Tennessee.
Right. And Vandy has been the better offense, but I think that's going to be canceled out due to Tennessee having one of the top 15 defenses in the country this year.
Yeah.
I also wrote down Tennessee has not reached 70 points away from home other than once this year, and that was last Saturday's game, which was a 30-point blowout. So don't really think you can count that as reaching 70 points whenever you have that many opportunities to score. Next on the list of matchups, I've got Iowa State and Texas Tech. This one was a difficult one because Iowa State has done well for me whenever I've picked them this year, but Texas Tech has played really well at home. They've knocked off a couple top 25 teams in the last couple weeks. But I took Iowa State plus 7.5. I just think they're too good to lose by 8 or more points to a Texas Tech team who is struggling on the offensive end at times. So
I actually like that pick as well. It's one of those things where the only reason I didn't go with it is because I'm just scared that they're going to have some weird game where they just don't play well all of a sudden, and I don't know why. It shouldn't be that way because they are playing well. They're undervalued, and I do know that like you, but I didn't go with that. I went with the over 125, and by the statistics, you wouldn't think I would because the Iowa State under hits 75% of the time on the road. The under hits for Texas Tech about 55% at home. They're actually the top 3 defenses in efficiency on KenPom. So the only reason I'm going over is because it's 125. It's too low. And most importantly, I really just had a feeling about this game. And I know that's one of the things we've talked about is just going off feeling for some of them. And this is probably the first time I've done this. I think the public's going to come heavy on the under. And but I will say, not just feeling, there is a stat. Iowa State on the season gives up an average of 59 points per game. Their last three, that's gone up to 70. And Texas Tech has bumped up 3 points as well. So this one's a feeling game. It's not one of my favorites, but I did go over 125.
Yeah, I think you can definitely tell those defensive averages for points per game allowed are going up as both these teams are playing their conference opponents who are actual, like, up to their level of competition compared to the non-conference where these teams played
Right.
very low major schools. So those numbers are a little bit skewed with the 59 points per game, and both teams top three. Would you say top three in points allowed or points per game?
Yeah, they're like defensive efficiency. I have a hard time saying that phrase for some reason every time.
So Dallas went with the over in this game. I took Iowa State to cover the 7.5 points. Moving on to the next matchup. This one was another one of my favorites. Wisconsin at Northwestern. And I looked at it, and it was a 2-point spread. Didn't really make sense to me. Then I remembered I watched the Northwestern Maryland game the other night, and one of the announcers was saying how it's so tough to play at Northwestern for some reason. And I looked at the numbers, and he could not have been more wrong. Northwestern, since the start of December, is 0-4 against the spread at home, and a whopping 1-3 just straight up against their opponents at home since the start of December, while they are 2-1 on the road. So a much better team away from home. Meanwhile, Wisconsin is has went 5 for 5 in the last 5 matchups against Northwestern, and they're just 11-5 against the spread. Don't really understand the 2-point spread in this matchup. I think Wisconsin's a much better team. So that's why I'm going to take Wisconsin -2 in this one.
Yeah, this was also one of my favorites, and I also went -2. Yeah, Wisconsin's 3-1 against the spread away from home. Like you said, Northwestern actually plays really bad at home. I was a little cautious about this game because there's this luck rating on KenPom, which basically says like how much you've performed above expectations, how much you performed below expectations. Wisconsin's one of the luckiest teams, apparently. Northwestern's one of the unluckiest. So that worried me. The only thing that doesn't worry me is that Northwestern just got done upsetting Michigan State.
Right.
I really think like this is their letdown spot. Wisconsin's playing good, and it's one of those games we're both confident. It would feel like one of those rat games that we talk about, but the one key factor here is Johnny Davis.
Yeah.
And when a team has like a star caliber player, I have a lot more confidence in that team to cover spreads.
Yeah, definitely. And then playing off of Northwestern with their record at home, I think Wisconsin's been great on the road. They
Right.
They have the one loss to Ohio State, which was ugly, but then they went to Purdue and beat them. They also beat Georgia Tech on the road and Maryland on the road, which I think are 3 quality opponents to beat at their place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wisconsin -2. I think this, what'd you say? This is your favorite as well? One of your favorites as well?
Yeah, this was probably my second favorite on here.
Okay. Next matchup, you've got Duke and Florida State. Duke 10-6 against the spread. The main thing I noticed whenever I was looking at the two teams, who was out, Florida State's power forward, who would be guarding Paolo, is going to be out for this game, or more than likely going to be out. I think that's the big difference here. That's why I took Duke -5.
I also took Duke -5. They've won by exactly 5 or more in the last 5 head-to-heads. Duke in the KenPom is well above all statistical categories. They're very much above average team, and there's only 2 categories that FSU excels in, and that's their defense. They always have a solid defense.
Yep.
And then their luck rating as well, like I just talked about, is I think they were top 25 in luck rating, which I don't know how much that factors into it, but it is still a statistic. Good
Yeah.
grief. And then one of the things that the ACC is just I don't think it's as good as the Big 12, but I think it's like a really inconsistent conference. And I really think Duke is one of those teams that's head and shoulders above the rest of the conference. I think the Miami was kind of a fluky loss, but I could see them really start to pound out some games and get some wins in.
Yeah. And the big thing I took away from this, you already said Duke has won the last 5 matchups.
Yeah.
That's also against much better Florida State teams. Florida State has really been one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the ACC the last 5 years or so. So I really like Duke in this one against a way worse Florida State team.
Yeah.
Now going on to our unranked matchups. First one I have is Ohio at Miami of Ohio.
Oh.
I took Ohio -1. They've really dominated this matchup the last few years. Miami of Ohio is 0-3 at home since the start of December. Don't understand. This is another one, just like that Wisconsin spread. I don't understand why the spread is so close. But I've watched Ohio a couple times. I think they're the much better team in this matchup. That's why I took them -1. Is this also one of your favorites?
Yeah, this is also one of my favorites. It's like you said, it's another one of those where it's just like I don't get the spread. I saw Ohio's going to be missing like a couple of bench players but they still got Vander Plocky, something like that. They still have Marcus Sears, which is one of the best players in the MAC. It's their starting guard. Miami of Ohio just has a really bad defense. Ohio's got a decent offense, and the spread's just too low.
Yeah, Miami of Ohio, Big Ben's not walking out on that court to help them out. Moving on to the next unranked matchup that I like, Davidson and VCU. I took under 132 in this one. This is sort of the clash of the Titans in this one. You got VCU's defense against Davidson's offense. Both very high-powered at what they do best. VCU, one of the top defenses in the whole country. Davidson, one of the best three-point shooting teams and just plain old shooting teams in the country. But what I took away from this is VCU, the points that they do let up on offense are mostly second chance points. They are 319th at defensive rebounding in the country. And what will help them out in this one is Davidson is also one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the country. Let's see, they were 301st in offensive rebounding. So that will help VCU in this matchup. The other thing that I think is really going to cancel all the scoring out is Davidson is number 1 in three-point percentage, and they hit almost 11 threes per game. But VCU is number 2 in three-point percentage defense. So I think what both of these teams do well is going to get canceled out and make this a very low-scoring affair. I think it's going to go under 132 in this matchup.
Like that. I think one of the things we talk about most is just we like defense in college basketball, and I'm like you. I'd always ride a defensive team before I think that an offensive team is going to outshine it.
Yeah, and the other big thing in this that goes with the Davidson offense is they are good at shooting and they're very efficient, but they're 318th in adjusted pace. So they score, but it takes them a while to score on.
Yeah, they take their time.
Yep.
This was my only other unranked matchup. It was Akron versus Western Michigan. I had Akron -14, another large spread. I say another because I took another one in our last video that got corrupted. But Western Michigan has outright lost 5 games in a row. They haven't played an away game in 3 weeks, so this will be their first time. Western Michigan kept it close with some bad teams when they were at home. I imagine that that had a lot to do with it because their last away game that I saw, they got beat by over 20. Akron's 5-2 against the spread at home. One of those losses on that little stat was against the best team in the MAC, Ohio, who we just talked about. Akron has won the last 5 matchups versus Western Michigan, and I want to say covered in 3 of them. And yeah, so Akron -14 in that pick.
Okay, so you like Akron -14. You do realize LeBron isn't coming home to play for the home team to cover the 14 points.
Change that pick, please.
Okay, so do you have any other unranked matchups you want to go over?
No, those were my only 2.
Okay, so you copied me with Ohio, so then you had 1 left. So
Stop.
now we're going to run through our favorites just real fast for you. So my favorites, we're going to start with Tennessee, Vanderbilt under 134.5, then Wisconsin -2, then Ohio -1, and VCU Davidson under 132. And those are my 4 favorites.
All right, so 2 of my 3 favorites are the same as yours, so that's awesome.
Surprising.
Yeah. Anyways, Wisconsin -2, Johnny Davis to drop 40.
Okay. Is that another one of your
Ohio.
bets?
What?
Is that another one of your bets?
I wish.
Johnny Davis alternate points
Yeah.
over 39.5.
I'd most likely throw 100 on it. Wouldn't even blink twice.
Okay.
Ohio -2. Parlay that with Johnny Davis's 40. Marcus Sears dropping 40. Okay. And then the last one, Duke -5. Monchero is only 39.
Okay.
He's
So
not quite as good as the other 2.
you've got, let's see, you had Ohio -1, Duke -5, and then Wisconsin -2 is your 3.
Yeah.
Okay. There are our favorite picks. And that's all we have for today's episode is just college basketball picks. No football, no Thursday night football because the playoffs have started. So Tuesday night basketball slate, we've got a good one again. With that being said, we'll see you again after this episode next Saturday. We're going to go over NFL and college basketball for the weekend. I know our 2 teams play against each other on Saturday, so that'll be fun to break down that matchup, Kentucky and Auburn.
I'm really wishing you all the best of luck. Y'all are definitely going to need it.
Hey, I'm really wishing y'all the worst of luck. So
That's really sweet.
with that being said, we'll see you on Saturday. And that was episode 2 of 2 Broke Bettors. Remember to gamble responsibly and have a great week and a better weekend. Thank you.
Love you.